Hey guys, I know I haven't done a real video of either, my gameplay or my hobby store or anything like that. Um, and this is half update, half hobby store. We'll say hobby store rant, hobby store special rant. First off, the FNAX project is more or less done. I'm cleaning it up. The biggest thing holding me back right now is a shine, because he still hasn't sent me a picture of him to put in the video. If he doesn't want to send me a picture, I will have to put like a black silhouette or something, because he's a pivotal part of FNEX, so he kind of needs to be in the video. So if he ever wants to send me a picture, great. But if not, silhouette it is. Which really doesn't look that professional, but too bad. Now, I might need to rethink the next hobby store. I was originally going to do the Simpsons TCG, but I still haven't gotten a hold of the cards for it, which is kind of important to do a review on a card game. I kind of need the cards in front of me, really, just so I can play through it and double check my review. It's it's what I do with it. And yeah, these are more difficult than say like a comic or movie review, because I have to go over the mechanics and the how a game works, the mentality of the player base. Like, I have to go through a lot more than just 90 minutes of film. Now, okay. Now before I do my rant, if it's gonna be a hobby store, I need to put on my hat. There. Hat. I'm just gonna put the glasses on. I really don't care right now. So, over the weekend, necessarily, that looks dumb. Over the weekend, I went to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Sneak Peek event for Extreme Victory, which, looking through the set, it's not that great of a set overall. In complete honesty, the past two sets were actually pretty good. But it was actually the first time I've played in a tournament for about 2 months. Lots been going on lately with me. My job, Anime Boston, the costuming, the video projects, girlfriend, a lot of new just regular things that I do, say on Friday night, and just stuff. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of backseat. Oh, and the car. Got a car. Car's important. I like having a car. So, first time I've played in about 2 months since the last set came out, which was, I think, Storm of Ragnarok. Most importantly, it was a set that introduced the super rare legendary Six Samurai and Shein. So I sat down with my scrap deck, which before that set was doing okay. It was an okay deck, and the only things I added were two scrap breakers, which are actually really good, especially if you want to get out Scrap Twin. So playing through the tournament, I got a bye first round, which is like okay. Then I played a Machina deck, which is, no offense to the player, no offense whatsoever to the player, but the deck itself is pretty idiot-proof. It's a good deck, but what I mean by idiot-proof is you really can't screw up playing it, because it's such a simple concept. If you have a gear, and you don't have the Machina that searches for the big Machina, or the big Machina, either in hand or graveyard, you play the gear. And then you keep going until you get one of the two. You search for the big guy, and you play the big guy, and then you protect the big guy, and you recycle the big guy. That's how it works. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh!, you know what I mean. So I end up losing. So I'm like, okay, I lost Machina. It happens. Everyone loses to that deck. Then I played Six Samurai. This is the first time I played one of the new Six Samurai decks. Turn 1 and turn 2 of games 1 and game 2, he got out Shein first game, then 2 Shein second game. Turn 1, turn 2 respectively. And that's the first time I've really had to deal with Shein. And turn 1 or 2, Shein really reading what he does And the additional setup you get with all the summoning with 6 Samurai and 1 or 2 counters in the back and the prevention of destruction by destroying other guys. I lost pretty quick, dropped, hung around for about 5-10 minutes, then left. Really salty. I mean, really salty. I did not want to stick around, because, yeah. So I came back, I sat down, and I thought about it. And I've been playing this game since it came out, since the first structure decks were available at a 7-Eleven. And there's only the Yu-Gi-Oh! Starter and the Kaiba starter. The boosters weren't even out yet. I could not find them for another week. Just the starters. So, played that. Played up to now. And it made me think, well, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has this really bad habit. Both in how they deal with restrictions and bans, and in what they release. Now, I'll give you examples. Because I've heard some people saying, well, synchros are destroying the game. No. Yu-Gi-Oh's been doing this way before then. Alright? Here's some examples of what I mean, and I'm actually going to, I wrote some stuff down. Alright? Now, the first best example of this would actually be Chaos, specifically CED. Now, those of you who've been playing for a while know the deck I'm talking about. This thing was busted bad. All you had to do was dump a dark and a light creature in the graveyard, which was still pretty simple back in the day, and just bring out this 3,000. You could swing with him, you could not swing with him. Then as soon as he hits, you pop him. He has priority. You pop him, go boom, 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 and then your opponent takes damage times, I believe it was 300, times the number of cards that were destroyed on the field and discarded from both players' hands. No, both fields were pretty much cleared. Unless, you had something else on top of CED to play. But you cleared the field and you dealt them massive damage, and all you had to do was poke them if they weren't already dead. CED got banned pretty quick. Blackluster Soldier was around for a while, but he was still pretty stupid. Next after that was Exchange of the Spirit decks. Those were dumb, because you could really easily build a deck around that, set the trap, discard, get at least 15 cards in that graveyard, like that, and then on your opponent's first turn, you flip up Exchange, you switch the deck in the graveyard, you have a 15 or so card deck, they have a 0 card deck. That got banned pretty quick. Then after that, it was, we'll say, Dark Strike Fighter. I'm going to put Dark Strike Fighter up there, because it was 1, 2, or no, actually, no, you just play one card, you bring in another creature, you tune him for Dark Strike Fighter, who could swing, and then sack himself to deal at least 4k. That's half your opponent's life, just like that. Or they can just keep launching other stuff that you have, and then himself. He was pretty busted. He's banned pretty quickly, too. Now, if the question comes, and I wrote this down too, the question comes with Shein. Now, here's the biggest problem I have with Shein. With the way 6 Samurais are structured now, you could very, very, very easily get out Shein first turn. Without problem. I would say about 75% of the time, in a 6 Sam deck right now, you can get Shein turn 1. The only way really to stop him is to negate his summoning. Bottomless and all those won't work, because once per turn, for free, he can negate any spell and trap. With no cost. And then negate his own destruction by blowing up a 6 Sam. He basically negates your opponent, like half of your opponent's strategies, for nothing. At least now that there are other decks that were top tier and still are top tier that aren't busted, and were never really busted. Lightsworn's one. It's a good deck. It was never busted. Teledad, that was a good deck. Never busted. Why? Because there was a cost, there was a consequence, there was a chance to respond. Judgment Dragon, he came out. You needed so much to special summon him. You paid 1,000, he blew up the field, and then he could swing. So a net gain of 2,000. Your opponent could respond to him special summoning with stuff. You could negate it. You could negate the damage. You could do a lot of things with Judgment. He wasn't a game ender. Dark Arm Dragon, same thing. He has to remove something to blow something else up, once per turn. He needs a specific amount in the graveyard. He has balance. Judgment Dragon has balance. The question is, does Shein have balance? I really don't think he does. Or the technology really isn't there yet. By the technology, I mean there are many decks that needed to have bans and restrictions of 1 or 2 cards. But over time, they've been, that's been lessened because new technologies come out in new sets. And it hasn't been that much of an issue. And this is coming slightly salty. I'm still pretty, annoyed, and I'm probably not gonna play Yu-Gi-Oh for a while just because it really bothered me. It really did. There are a few other games that really have that problem, where every couple sets there'll be one specific deck, one build that you need to build, or you're done. I'd like to... Magic doesn't have that problem. Pokemon, from what I understand, I don't think really had that problem. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Does. And they don't update their ban list when a set first hits. They wait 6 month periods. They're not stupid. They have people who playtest this. They playtest this. It comes out in Japan before it comes out over here. So there's time to know what is jank and what's not, but they sit on their asses and don't do it. They wait. And that really needs to be fixed, because Shein needs some balance. Goyo needed some balance, and they waited a while to balance Goyo Guardian. He was pretty stupid. Shein's the same way. Brionic, they restricted him pretty quickly. But he didn't need to be banned, just restricted. You don't need a whole bunch of him. But he's a decent card with payment and all that balance. He's fine. Yeah, so that's my current problem with that, really. This is more of a ranty thing from an old fogey who's been playing the card game way too long. But if you listen through the entire thing, please give me your thoughts. Tell me if I'm acting crazy. Discuss it back and forth. I'd rather have critique of, here's what I think you're right with, here's what I don't think. Just give me some back and forth. And I'd love to actually just start a dialogue with some people about this, because I don't know too many people up here that I can talk to regularly about the game, because everyone has their own lives, and I really can't get down to Waterville, which is about 50-minute drive, every weekend for a children's card game. It's not worth it. But thanks for listening to me. I'll see you guys later.